Hi, boys and girls, third graders. How are you doing? I'm missing you right now. So, I hope that you're doing well, and I hope that you are ready for a good day. We're going to do our regular classes right here on YouTube. So, you can't get rid of me. And I hope that you're ready to do all of the things with me. Don't not do them because I'm watching through the screen. Okay. So we're going to start with Bible and we're going to sing our song. I know we're still learning it, but you can sing it along with me. Don't let me sing by myself and be embarrassed, please. So I didn't send home your Bible books because they're so big and didn't want to bother with that. We're just going to sing our song. We're going to go over our verse and I'm going to read you our story and you'll get a chance to just listen. So you'll be able to learn it that way. So let's try our song, that we've been learning and singing. So I am his and he is mine. Ready? Loved with everlasting love, led by grace that love to know. Spirit breathing from above, thou hast taught me it is so. Oh, this full and perfect peace, oh, this transport all divine, in a love which cannot cease. I am his and he is mine, in a love which cannot cease. I am his and he is mine. Good job. Thank you for singing with me. Those that did, those that didn't, I'll get you on Monday. You have to come back to school on Monday, so don't forget. Okay, so our verse, can you remember? Genesis, what is that? I don't remember the 127, right? Or 128. Genesis 128. I don't know why I forgot the reference already, but you know the verse. Ready? And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Genesis 1:28. That's the pup. Sorry. Those of you who were here last year, you know that I have a dog named Lady, and she always interrupts videos, whether it's chapel videos or regular videos. So since I'm home, she's interrupting this video. She's a little booger, but sorry, her toy that she loves. So remember that verse, go over that verse a couple times so that you won't forget it. But in order to keep this video a little bit shorter than some of the other ones will be, we're just going to say it one time together, but you review it a couple times. You can always replay me and say it again, replay me and say it again so that you will learn it. But today's story I want to get to is the man and woman sin. So remember, we talked last week about creation and how God made all of the different things that he made and the days that he made them, and how he loved his creation and he loved that everything he made was good. And then on the seventh day he rested, not because he was so tired, but it was to teach us that we need to rest, that it's very important that we rest. And remember, we said that he made woman from the rib of man, and Adam named all of the animals, and he called the woman Eve because she was taken from the rib of Adam. But today is a much sadder story as we talk about, again, the man and woman sin. Everything was perfect for Adam and Eve in the garden where God put them. They were perfect people who would live forever with God. They walked and talked together with God. Remember, we said he would just come and they could walk and talk together and just have a wonderful time. They walked among the beautiful trees, the plants, the animals that God had made, and that was for them to enjoy. The trees provided fruit, and there were no weeds to keep their garden from growing or to make it look ugly. They lived in peace with God, themselves, and all of the animals. Everything was peaceful and wonderful. Life was perfect, and not pretend perfect. It really was perfect because there was no sin, there was nothing wrong, everything was perfect, just as God had planned it. God told Adam he could eat freely from every tree in the garden, except one. That's it, just one that I don't want you to eat from. You can have every fruit of every tree all over, but there's that one tree over there, Adam. I just don't want you to eat of that tree. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the middle of the garden. God created Adam and Eve with the ability to choose. God did not want to make Adam and Eve or the rest of us to be, yes, God, I will obey you. Yes, God, whatever you say, because that's not really showing love when we just kind of do it because we're programmed to do it. He wants us to love him out of choice. He wanted Adam and Eve to choose to obey. He wants us to choose to obey and to choose to do what's right. He gives us a choice. So he wanted to make them with the ability to choose. They could choose to either obey him and do what he said or disobey him. God taught Adam that if he ate from this forbidden tree, he would die. Now, Adam, every tree, all of these other trees everywhere are yours. Just that one tree, don't eat from that one. If you eat from that tree, you will die. But I provided so many other things for you so that you can eat of those. This meant that Adam and Eve would die on the inside as soon as they disobeyed. They would no longer love God or want to please him. One day their bodies would die too, and after the last judgment, they would be separated from God forever in the lake of fire. Satan appeared as a serpent and tempted Eve. And we know the story. We've heard that they're there in the garden just enjoying life. And as they're going along, Satan comes around and he's in the form of a serpent and he starts talking to Eve, which right there, that's kind of a weird thing because I'm pretty sure none of the other animals talked to her before this time. But now one of the animals is talking to her. And this is the thing, when Satan wants to get at us, he knows just what to do. He knows that if he's going to get to some of us, if it's going to be a boy, it's not going to be, oh, you want new clothes? Oh, yeah, take that. No, it's going to be the video game system. Don't you want this? Don't you want this next new thing? Don't you want to play this game? With others, it could be something completely different. But Satan knows just where to get us. And Satan went up to Eve and he looked and he said, hey, look at this nice garden you got. Wow, look at all these great trees. Do you get to enjoy them all? And Eve said, oh, yes, we do. We get to enjoy all of these trees, except for that one over there. And that's when Satan starts asking, oh, well, why did God say that you couldn't eat of that tree? You can eat of every other one, but why not that one? Well, he said that if we eat of that tree, we would surely die. Oh, that's not true. You're not going to die. Why would God make you only to have you die, right? And Eve thought, right, actually, that makes sense. That wouldn't make sense for God to make. So maybe we won't die. So Satan appeared as that serpent, asking whether God had commanded them not to eat from every tree of the garden. And Eve said, oh, God said they could eat of every tree of the garden except one. She said that they were not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They weren't supposed to touch it or even look at it, not look at it, but don't touch it or else you will die. Satan told her, no, I don't think that's going to happen. He lied to her. He said that if they ate that fruit, then they would be wise like God. And God just didn't want that. They would know good and evil. That's why it's called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And Eve thought, oh, that makes sense. Well, I really would like to know. I mean, it is important for us to know the good from the bad, right? But what did we just say, third grade? There was no bad. So there wasn't anything to know. Everything was perfect. But Satan started filtering that in her mind. Um, so when the woman looked at the tree and saw that it had good fruit that might make her wise, she wanted it. And she wanted it badly, badly enough that she kept looking at it. And finally, she took that fruit and ate of that fruit. Once Eve had tasted the fruit, she knew something was different, but she ran right to Adam and she said, "Oh, Adam, you've got to taste this. This is such good fruit." And he said, "Whoa, I haven't seen that fruit before. Where is that from, Eve?" "Well, it's from the tree that we're not supposed to eat them. But look at, I'm not dead. So this serpent came by me and he told me that, God just, he was trying to protect us from knowing good and bad, but I want to know good from wrong, right? So I haven't died and it's really yummy. Taste it." "I don't want to taste it, Eve." "No, Adam, please. It's really good." Eve, I don't, Adam, please." "Okay, fine." So she brought it to Adam and he ate it too. Adam and Eve knew immediately that they had disobeyed God. All of a sudden, they're like, "We didn't do the right thing." Their sin brought fear and distrust instead of love for God and a desire to be with Him. They didn't want to see Him now. They wanted to be away from Him. They wanted to hide from Him because they felt so bad in their hearts because of what they had done. Now Adam and Eve realized that they were naked and they used leaves to cover themselves. Later, when Adam and Eve heard God's voice calling to them, saying, "Hi, Adam and Eve, I'm here to walk with you and talk with you," they hid. They hid from God. Remember all those walks that they had, walking through the garden and enjoying each other and having such a great time? Now they're hiding from God because they're so afraid of what they had done. Though God knows everything, He called out to Adam and asked where he was. God knew where he was, but He wanted Adam to know, "I know where you are and I know what you've done. Adam, where are you?" Adam's like, "Okay, stay down, Eve, get down, get down." Maybe He won't see us. Doesn't God see us all the time? Wherever we are, we can never, ever hide from God. Adam replied that he had been afraid because he was naked and had hidden from God. God asked Adam if he had eaten of the tree that God had told them not to eat from. Instead of admitting his sin, Adam blamed Eve. "It's not my fault. Eve, she did it. She did it. I was just walking through the garden and all of a sudden I come over and Eve's like, 'Here, take it, eat it, eat it, eat it.' And so I just finally did. So it's kind of her fault." "You know what? Actually, it's kind of your fault too because you gave her to me. So I really am innocent." Adam totally blamed Eve. And then God looks at Eve and says, "Eve, did you eat of the fruit?" Well, I don't know what it was like. It would be nice to see the DVD of it in heaven, but I'm assuming that Eve did what, sometimes we do. I I just wait, I didn't really do it. It's not my fault. I was just like in the garden. This animal came up to me and he told me to eat of it, and I just did, and I was just, it's not my fault. It's Satan's fault. And Adam, how could you blame me? How rude! And so she does a little crying. She's upset with Adam, and then she places the blame on Satan and says, "It wasn't my fault. It was the serpent who tricked me." God immediately told the serpent that because of what he had done, he was going to crawl on his belly from that day on. This punishment reflected Satan's defeat and showed that God was always going to be in power and in control. God said He would put hatred between those who are of Satan and those who are the one who will be Eve's offspring, which we know is Jesus Christ. Eve's offspring will bruise Satan's head, and Satan will bruise his heel. Because of their sin, Adam and Eve were changed. They were no longer perfect in any way. The result of their disobedience was both physical and spiritual death. Eventually, their physical bodies would die, but spiritually, they were separate from God. He couldn't be close to them like he was before. God told Eve that as her punishment, she would have pain when having children, and that her relationship with her husband would result in a conflict over authority. God then told Adam that his punishment for disobeying would be that he would now have to work a lot harder, because remember, we said there were no weeds in the garden. The garden was just walking through, and you pick the fruit and you eat it and you live your life and enjoy the animals and have a great time. Now he was going to have to work hard, and he was going to have to toil and work. There were going to be weeds and thistles and thorns that were going to grow out of the ground and make his job a lot harder. God said that man would have to sweat to get food from the earth. Work itself is not the punishment. The punishment is that his work would now be very difficult. Work is a good thing, but the work was now going to be much harder because of his sin. God had planned for the work to be something simple and easy and just enjoyment, but because of sin, it was going to be more difficult. God made coverings from animal skins for Adam and Eve. Now, this is important to recognize. Before this time, we said Adam and Eve, they were covering themselves with leaves, and that was, going to be good enough, they figured. But God said that's not enough. Now we need to clothe you with something more, with something stronger, with something that will last. And animal skins are going to be what are going to cover you. Well, guess what that meant? For the very first time since the beginning of the world, Adam and Eve were going to have to take an animal's life in order to clothe them and give them protection. That wasn't God's plan, but that's what happened when sin entered the world. And so not only do they have the shame of knowing that they've disappointed God, but now they have to take the life of an innocent animal to clothe themselves and as payment for their sin. He then sent them out of the Garden of Eden. They were no longer allowed to be there. God placed a cherubim, which is just a type of angel, and a flaming sword to keep them from ever returning to that garden. Adam and Eve allowed sin to enter into their minds because the serpent convinced them something that they didn't say no to. They had a choice, but they chose to do wrong. We have a choice as well, boys and girls. What are we going to choose? Are we going to choose to do right, or are we going to choose to do wrong? And I hope and pray that as we look at this story, we'll think, God, help me. It's not easy. Satan knows just what to do. He knows to whisper to Miss Monroe, you need those shoes. They're really cute. I think I do need a new pair of shoes. I shouldn't, because I don't have the money and I don't need to, but they're calling my name. They're so cute. He knows just where to get us so that we will choose. Now, obviously, that's kind of a silly example, but these are the things that Satan does. He gets us where we are and distracts us so that we might choose the wrong thing and forgetting to live and give everything for the Lord Jesus. So I really hope that you'll remember this lesson today and ask God to help you to choose to do what's right. Choose not to listen to Satan, but to choose to do the right things. All right, I'm going to let you go, and we'll see you in the next video.